brand new episode of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hasseman. Thanks so much for joining me. And I am joined today by a brand new rock star, a brand new guest. I'm very excited to have her. She's the Vice President of Strategic Operations at American Solutions for Business. That is a bit of a mouthful, but Amy Spychalla, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me, Kirby.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to kind of dive right in, get to know you a little bit. But one of the ways I think we can do that is kind of talk about some of the things you're working on and what you're fired up about. So what project or projects are you working on right now that have you totally fired up, and why?
Yes. Well, one project we started, probably 10 months ago is our client engagement initiative.
Okay.
And it's just a neat way where we're collaborating with different departments within American and also pulling in some of our sales associates into a little committee and working on different initiatives to really help our sales associates in their selling efforts. So right now we're focused on a project around customer reviews, which is very near and dear to my heart.
Okay.
We work so hard to land these new programs, and so let's keep them, let's grow them. I actually wrote an article not too long ago for Promo Marketing Magazine on customer reviews and kind of the 10 ways to maximize those reviews. So that's very near and dear to my heart, and very excited to continue to work on that and roll out some cool tools to our sales associates.
Yeah, reviews are so it's something that at least sometimes flies under the radar for me, but they're so powerful. I think it's become such a subconscious thing. You don't make there's so many times I talk myself out of buying a book or talk myself into buying a book based on a review that they're so powerful in growing your business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So next question, I'm curious, who are some people that inspire you to be better? Maybe it's one person, maybe it's multiple people. And how do they do it?
Right. Yeah. I think of people in current day and then also people in my past that have inspired me. But, our senior leadership team is awesome.
Okay.
I know you've met some of our leaders, and we meet still 3 times a week just to go through different initiatives that we're working on. But such a great team, a fun, interactive team, very fun to collaborate with, and very approachable. It's not like we have our silos where we're trying to solve all the problems on our own. We can tap into different people and different departments and bring forth, our current experiences, draw from our past experiences, and really put together some neat programs. So
that's good.
Yeah, good group.
Yeah, that's cool. It is so nice when you are able to be inspired by people that you're around on a regular basis, right? I think sometimes it's when I think of people who inspire me, sometimes, I don't have access to them, right? And so by having access to the people who inspire you, I have to think that's got to lift you up.
Mm-hmm. It really does. And then, thinking into my past too. So as I put myself through college, I worked for an insurance company in St. Paul and continued to work there once I graduated. But one of my bosses, his name was Larry Freeman, and he was just a neat guy. And there were a bunch of us that kind of were in this aisle. He called us the kids' corner because we were all the next generation people.
Yeah.
And so he'd come visit us, but he was my boss. And a few things that he helped me with is just helping to overcome shyness. So he encouraged me to join the Toastmasters group. That was part of insurance company, and that I still draw from some of that information, just how to structure a customer presentation, being cognizant of time, making sure that you're covering everything within the allotted period of time, different presentation types, impromptu speaking, so all of those good things. He also taught me just the value or just the quality of work, so as I would work with him, he'd say, you've got to make sure this is good quality work. You've got to make sure there's no typos and grammar issues and the content is accurate and you haven't missed anything. I'm not going to catch that. That's on you. So, taking that into my, through all these years, and that's what I like to try to teach others too. And then also the value of, he always told me to, think of the company money as though it's your own. And that really resonated too for me.
Yeah, those are some great lessons. I like especially if you are not comfortable speaking, putting you in a Toastmasters group that's a big level of getting outside your comfort zone. Was that hard for you to do?
Yes. That was a piece that was holding me back. And I had another gal that I played tennis with, and she said, Amy, you need to take a speech class. So I was flipping through my community ed paperwork, and this was, back, I was in my 20s, still living in the city, and there was a scared speechless class. I thought, I'm going to take this. So I took this the Scared Speechless class, and then it evolved into Larry telling me, okay, you join a Toastmasters group. And
Nice.
when you're shy by nature, you kind of have to look at some of those different organizations and resources that
Mm.
can help you break out of that so that you can continue to grow.
What I love about that, Amy, is I think that sometimes people think that if you're in a leadership group, you don't suffer from some of the struggle, like some of those insecurities, or you don't have that voice in your head. And I think it's great to hear that, look, we've all got that voice and we all struggle with different things, but there's ways to overcome it. Does that make sense?
Definitely, yes. And then when you have, work towards that, and I'm a constant work in progress, but you see that quality in other people, and you know exactly how they feel and exactly where they're coming from, so that you can help them too. So
Yeah.
in the end, it's really all about helping people.
I love that. I love that. So you've kind of touched on it, but I'm curious to ask. I mean, what other than maybe this is the answer. If there's anything else, that's fine. But what are some things that you struggle with or have in the past, and how do you overcome them? So maybe this is a part of that answer, or maybe it's not.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's part of the answer. And just, if there's things that I'm not comfortable doing, that's probably a good sign that I should do it. So making sure you're taking your interview opportunity as, oh, I have not done this before, so let's do it. Let's try it. I had to introduce a band on a stage the other week, and it's like, all right, well, that's something I've never done before. Let's do it. So
Wow.
yeah, I think that just, making sure that you're continuing to push yourself, so you're growing, and you don't let fear ever stand in the way.
I think that's great advice. I've said that before too, where it's like, okay, if I'm really anxious or really nervous about something, often it is the voice of fear in my head trying to keep me from it. And it's like, maybe that's a sign that I'm on the right track.
Right. Yes. And don't avoid it, but instead just tackle
Lean
it.
in.
It's never really that big of a deal, is it?
Yeah, that's great. Okay, you're doing great. So thanks for leaning in and doing this, even though you'd not done it before. I appreciate it. So one final question for you. What are some tips that you give, whether it's people who work with you, friends, family, whatever? What are tips you give for growing, both personally and professionally?
Right. Yeah. I think, so much of it is helping others.
Mm,
So as I look at our team, at my team, it's about being approachable. It's about being responsive. It's about being helpful. It's about being kind. Just knowing that as we're working with, a sales associate, for instance, on a presentation or a new e-commerce site, they're probably feeling anxiety. So what
yeah.
can we help to alleviate that and make it more simple for them and help step them through the process? So I think, if you're approachable, easy to work with, a lot of it just takes care of itself. So that would really be the main thing. Communication too, just
Yeah.
being overly communicate, where we're at with each project so that people know. Otherwise anxiety comes, and that's never a good feeling for anyone.
Yeah, over communication is it's almost like an oxymoron, right? Because you can't sometimes you can't over communicate, but yeah, I think that, and couple that with be willing to lean in when you're feeling that sense of fear. Often that Paul Kiwi said it one time on this show. He said that success often comes right just outside of your comfort zone, and I think that there's some wisdom in that, and you've certainly shared that today.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is finding those hidden talents in people, because you hire someone based on a job description, but then once you get to know them, you notice, oh wow, they're really good at this. They've got a really neat, maybe they are more graphical, or maybe they've got a marketing edge, or maybe they have, a social media piece to them, and you can start to tap into those hidden talents too, which really help them to make that job their own.
That's awesome. Well, Amy, I really appreciate you taking the time and kind of stepping outside of your comfort zone a little bit to chat with me today. You've done a great job. So thank you so much. We'll have to do it again sometime. Okay.
Yes, well, thanks so much for having me, Kirby. It's fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.